welcome back to The Heart of Business. I'm Carla Sontag, and with me today is a very special friend and guest, Dr. Sandra Herrera-Spinelli.
Hello.
Who operates and owns Wellness from Within.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Carla. I'm so tickled because I really do enjoy our conversations.
Well, I do too, and it's a pleasure to have you. So I want to thank you for taking the time away from your busy schedule because I know you're very busy to be here with us. But let's start at the beginning. Where are you from?
So I like to say that I'm homegrown. That's I feel my staff and I, we laugh in that I'm like coining that term of homegrown. But the truth is that I was actually born in El Paso, Texas. And my parents are actually Mexican immigrants, and they brought us to Rio Rancho in 1980. So I was 4 years old, and this is all I know, New Mexico. And for me, I do claim New Mexico as my home. I try to say, people say I'm from Texas, but I don't. When I go there, I don't feel like I'm from Texas. So, so I thought, I didn't know if you knew that my parents are Mexican immigrants. And so I thought that was something new to share with you. And my dad actually served for the U.S. Army as a Mexican immigrant during Vietnam. And so those stories, I think I didn't appreciate them when I was younger, and now, because part of me being a business owner comes from what he's done and how I can be here today.
Yeah, so tell me more about that. So how did he decide? Was he already married to your mom when he came to the United States? How did they decide to come here? Did they meet here?
So it's funny. Their story is really neat because they were neighbors in Mexico, and my dad left and joined the military. And my mom says she saw his picture at his grandma's house, who lived next door, and they started writing letters. And then after Dad did his service, he got his citizenship, and then he brought my mom over. And he wanted to give his kids the best opportunities. And so they established home first in California, and then El Paso, and then finally set roots in Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Wow, that is really interesting. So they were neighbors, but they didn't know each other?
Well, they did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, my mom says he picked on her a lot, but but it wasn't until she saw him in his uniform, right, that she fell in love with him.
It was that picture that did it.
Yeah, we laughed. That was it.
Well, that's great.
And she thought she would never leave her family, and so but she followed him she followed him to the United States, and then we raised, and so I have two older brothers. And we all are college graduates, which is very, very not. One of the things I want to share, I thought it was normal, right? Like being a college graduate, and my profession. Like I realize that's not normal. I think I didn't realize how precious my parents' story is. And so they're just getting older, so it gets hard. But part of, business ownership is what this was not my plan. I'm just going to say business ownership was not my plan. I followed all the rules. I went to school, and what I studied is social work. And in my 20s, when I got my master's. So I went to school, boom, 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 boom. And I got my master's in my early 20s. I started working, didn't have a family, and it was very easy to dedicate my time and energy to my career, right? Because I had no other responsibilities. And as I continued in my career, I realized, how am I going to have a family if I'm always working? And so that's what spurred this interest in having my own business.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So when did you open the business?
So Wellness from Within was established on the books, right? April of 2012. And I started out as a fee for like cash business of services providing mental health services, and I quickly learned that in New Mexico if you don't use insurance, you can't establish a cash business. And so then I researched that and started accepting insurance. And then that just opened a whole other experience of playing or working with that system. And then just started growing and adding other practitioners. And it's just been a roller coaster ride since then. So I think, like I said, in my head, I would never have chosen mental health as a business endeavor. It's just you have to think about that because a business is about making money. So what's your product you're selling? And so I had to do a lot of self-taught on business stuff, and it just never meshed well. So it's been an experience of how do you blend, because I just wanted to help people.
And was English your second language?
Yes. The short answer, yes. And people don't believe me because I don't talk with an accent. And I learned English when I started kindergarten. So I grew up in a Spanish household. And currently my husband laughs because when I step foot into my parents' house and I just start talking Spanish, and my husband's looking at me and he's like, I don't speak Spanish, right? And I'm looking at him. He's like, you're talking Spanish. And I'm like, oh, like it's so automatic. And
Wow.
And it was like that as a kid. I would go to school and then I come home and we speak Spanish. But then as I got older, right, and then I think we spoke English. No, I know we spoke Spanglish, right? Spanglish is the half Spanish, half English, but yeah.
Yeah.
So but I can see now as I mature. I'm not gonna say I'm aging, but as I mature, I notice if I don't use it as much, that I get more forgetful of words. But
it must be good for your business in New Mexico with our demographics to be fluent in both languages.
Yes. I might not have the best pronunciation, but I think it's a great opportunity to serve our Spanish-speaking community. Definitely.
So tell me about your business. How many employees do you have? Do you have other people in the same line of work as you?
Yeah, so I have 13 staff, including front desk support, including so I have some mental health practitioners, and then others are coaches. And when I say coaches, they provide community support and So it's a different level of support than like a licensed mental health practitioner. So I think, so we talked about Wellness from Within. That's my private for-profit mental health practice. And then through that journey, I started noticing this gap in care for so a gap in care for our working class families who have what we call commercial insurance. Commercial insurance is like what you get when you work for a business, right? So 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 in 2018, I started a nonprofit to be able to create an environment where so the gap is when you have commercial insurance, there's high deductibles, high copays, and so then how do you create an environment where you continue to serve your community? And so this has been my growing. So I said, oh, okay. So I started a nonprofit to help support making sure we can provide services for our community. So
Okay.
So there's like two little businesses going on here, and then of course the shutdown happened in 2020, and so I've just been it's been this roller coaster of a journey. The reason that's important is because the nonprofit is where I have a special contract that I'm working, and that's where my coaches are coming from. They support these projects that I get from grants and other contracts that only contract with nonprofits. And so that's how come I have like these two different.
And does the nonprofit also help bridge the gap for people who have high deductibles or can't otherwise pay?
Yes, because that gives me it's an opportunity so I created a scholarship fund so that way we don't turn people away who can't afford their copays and high deductibles.
So when you're looking at the mental health field, what is the specialty? I mean, what do you see most cases coming in, people needing help on?
And I think that's so I'm going to put my business hat on because I finally got it. I finally got what our specialty is. Because what happens is if you think of mental health, like there's this range. And every time I've gotten business coaching, what's your niche? What's your brand? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I want to help people. And so now it's like with these projects we've got, we have really found our niche in supporting families and individuals who are like first responders, who work like nurses, who work in the nursing and work, the night shift. And so they can be available for their kids, right? But that comes with its own set of additional stress that contributes to some anxiety and depression, right? And then we could have like maybe a teacher, right, wants to help, right? And then how current environments and, having 30 kids and, how that contributes to stress, that contributes to anxiety and like, so people seek help because how do you do it all, right? And the majority, of course, are working women, right? That's the majority of our clientele, right? Balancing motherhood and work, career. And then we also have, and then I said first responders because we got a special project where we really want to provide support for our police officers, fire, and paramedics, and let them know that there's a safe place to be able to decompress from what they see. So,
Yeah, that's a tough line of work.
yeah. So,
Wow, that's great. And so how many counselors do you have? Do you refer to them as counselors?
oh, yes. In the profession, so we have some licensed professional counselors, and then we have some licensed clinical social workers, which is what I am. And so right now I have 4. Yes, I say 4.
So
4 in the
tell us the
office.
difference between those two categories, counseling versus the social worker.
Oh, that's like a whole. It's the professional training, different schools, and I think clinical social workers. Their academic training includes policy and advocacy, and not just the clinical counseling. So it's more broad. And then where clinical counselors are more specialized, they really focus on different clinical modalities, different theories, so they're more focused on just the psychotherapy component, where that's part of the clinical training in clinical counselors, but they also get other training too. So yeah.
And do you have good success in finding people to be on your team, or is that a little challenging at times?
That is the challenge. That is the challenge. I feel like New Mexico, I feel like all behavioral health agencies are where we have this little pool of, because it's not just the master level license, it's there. So I think this is the complexity of being a mental health professional is you have to have a master's degree. And then there's the postgraduate training beyond that. And so it's a very, and what I'm seeing is like that pool, as I get older, it gets smaller. Like there's just like, you just don't see young people who are that committed. Like a master's degree, I mean, that's easy 6 years of college. And even then you're still, have to get what we call the supervision. It's your postgraduate, where you're working with another, supervising. So there's 2 more years in addition to just the 4 years. So it's a intensive profession. So yeah, that's like what's the biggest struggle is finding master level clinicians. And so that's been my journey. Yeah.
Where did you complete your education?
So I like to say I'm homegrown. TBI was my first associate's, UNM, bachelor's, and then New Mexico Highlands, my master's. And then in 2014, I just decided to go back to school, and then I got my doctorate through Walden University. And I chose that program because I just got married, and I just had to travel instead of like relocating and doing a full program at a university. And so I just traveled every semester and completed what I need to for the program. So,
Well, that's good. How long have you been married?
I have been married this October 19th would be 12 years. So been
Great.
married 12 years. So I pursued all academic. I just worked and studied, went to school for merger. And then then I was like, how do you do this? How do you balance all this? And then was reunited with my lost long love. and so it made it easy to do that next step and get married. Yeah.
Good. So you're based in Albuquerque or Rio Rancho?
Albuquerque, on the west side, close to Rio Rancho, but it is Albuquerque.
And do you serve both communities?
Yeah, I love that location. I love Rio Rancho. Like, that's where I grew up. Actually, we moved back to our old hood. So I got to marry my first boyfriend. So he was my true love from we were in middle school. And so we actually moved back to the same community in Rio Rancho, which is where my parents still live. So that's why we moved back to be close to them. But Rio Rancho, the limits of having to practice there is that you limit yourself just to Rio Rancho. And so being right outside of Rio Rancho, we serve Rio Rancho. We can serve the town of Bernalillo. We can serve the North Valley. We can serve, it's right off of Coors. So, and then with close to Paseo, the east side, and down south of Coors. So the demographics of who we serve is wide. So that's great. So it's a great location.
Yeah. Well, good. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you have faced?
Of what part? Being an old mom, no, carrying, no, just kidding. I think my training, right? So I went into the profession, social work. I want to help people, right? And helping people and running a business is the biggest challenge. And so that's where I'm, we all have big hearts and we all think that we want to do the right thing. And you have a business that's a mental health practice. It's interesting. It conflicts, but it doesn't that's why all my business coaching and all this support I was they don't like coaching me because I just fight them because it's you can't produce more. There's only just make your therapist see more clients. That's it. That's their solution always. See more clients, increase in I have plethora. I have more than enough. I don't keep waiting lists because I just can't keep track of it. What it is finding those. So this is what I'm saying. I'm homegrown. I'm growing my own therapist. I have this young lady who's worked for me as a coach and it has been inspired to return back to school. And so that's how I feel is growing. So growing our own community and how do you, so that's, so the biggest challenge is is employing master level clinicians. I don't know. It's.
And when she goes back to school, will she continue working while she's in school or will she return to you? How's that? How do you see that playing out?
Man, she works for a great boss and the accommodations for her to be able to go back to school and still work. And yeah, definitely working with her so she can be successful at both. So that's been great. So part of helping people, I think part of my key, right, is how do I provide an environment where employees are supported and cared for so they want to stay and grow. And one of the great things is I feel like I'm a hub. I have had a lot of people come and leave and grow their own businesses or get hired in other organizations. Like, it's great, like, to see other people flourish. So I'm still refining how to keep this practice, like, I think I'm getting it now. I think, like, really fine tuning our niche of our community that we provide service, who we're good with, and who we're. The other thing, we've really had an increase of providing service to veterans, and so that's touched my heart very much so, and so that's been wonderful. And so I feel like we're finding our niche and our clientele. And so I think we are in a great location, and so now, like, how do you? I don't know what other solution to. How do you create your own workforce? Right? That's it. We need a workforce. We don't have a workforce, and I don't know.
That's a common problem in New Mexico, and it doesn't matter what field you're in. It's not. Yours is very specialized, but there's a lot of other specialized fields and general fields. It's just really hard to get the employees that you need right now in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Everybody's feeling that pinch.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't see, how is it? I feel very blessed that I have been in New Mexico as long as I have, and I feel, and the career I've chose is that I've heard people's stories. I've seen, and there's just been a shift from, how I don't see people going to college anymore, right? And then I don't know. Well, I mean, that's a whole other discussion, because I think if you know what you want to do, right, then, like, invest in college. This is just a career. You can't do it. You can't do it without college. Like, yeah, there's just no way. And
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, this has been fascinating, learning more about your business and sharing that with other people in the state. If there were one thing that you could change about New Mexico to make it easier for you to operate, what would that be?
Oh, man. I have to say that I don't, you're going to laugh, right? Because part of my social work training is policy and advocacy and, lobbying and stuff. And so I have to say that on the record, on the books, there's lots that New Mexico does for behavioral health. And so I think that that's where I'm very blessed, right, in this. I just don't know how it translates down to the business component, right? Like, it's something's not like, I just don't understand how that, but I know that there's a value for the career and the work that, I do and so many of us do. And I think that after it was 2013, I believe that there was this awful experience of mental health agencies just being shut down, right? And so that's actually what spurred me to go back to school, like, anyways. But so I think that is good. I think there's other things, and I know the state is really doing things, like they updated things, but right now, these upgrades they've made with portal is like, so I have some delayed payments from last year from claims.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So there's just, so I don't know what New Mexico would do, because I think they're doing best efforts at the policy level, right? And then they're trying to, like, these portals and all this stuff, like, there's, like, it sounds good, but, like, in implementation, like, there's some challenges. I don't know what it would be like, really. I don't know.
Well, it's good to hear that the state is supportive of your industry, because it seems there's a growing need for the type of work that you do, just because life can be stressful. And so it's good that they are supportive of that, because we need to we need to be supportive where we can to help our people get through life.
Yeah, and keep working, right?
Yes.
That's like that's where I feel. I think that's what I love to do. Is like I love knowing that the impact I'm making is helping people keep working and keep their family together. Because that was another whole we didn't talk about, but we're what that's I think that's what makes us unique too. Is that we're very family focused, and for children and youth, that's really important. And I think that then that just So I'm really excited. I don't plan to go anywhere. I will see the ripple effects of the impact that we make, and I appreciate having you and the coalition as a place for me to take off the therapist hat and just talk about business and kind of see how can I integrate some of those things into what I do, right? Like how that works. And yeah, it's so funny because
I'm frustrated with New Mexico, but it is such a great state.
It is.
It really is. The people, and of course the weather and all, but it's I really had a humbling experience, and I'm so glad to be back in New Mexico. Even like we're really progressive in some of the things that we do in like mental field and stuff is so. I think the clash is it's still a business, and so when I think so what really hit me hard is when they passed the mandatory pay time off or sick leave, like they always like it, and it's great, like I'm for it, and at the same time how that impacts the financial component for a small business, like those things, like the intentions I know are good. And so I think that would be how do you supplement the service industry when you're putting financial demands on, so you're imposing additional financial expenses on small businesses that are providing a service and haven't been paid for a year on claims. Do you see? So there's something like, so good intentions though, but in the implementation, the reality is it impacts a small business. Like I'm really like, do they just want to have a hospital mental health? I mean, that's where, where we're headed if small businesses can't. So we create a home style environment, and then. But I don't know, like that's the only thing that scares me a little bit. Is it just made for big organizations?
Yeah, we hope not. And that's what we keep working on, but it's a dilemma that we all face because we do want to take care of employees, and that's the number one thing as an employer. Because you're not going to have your business without employees. So you want to take care of them. We often think that it should be between you and the employee to figure out what the pay should be, what the benefits should be, what the time off should be, and not dictated by government. And that's kind of our philosophy. We would prefer to see more empowerment of our business people than growth of government oversight. So that's what we focus on.
Yeah, I think I think that's part of, it's an interesting balance, I can tell you.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you for being here with me today. It's been a pleasure. And I think I've learned a whole lot about your industry that I did not know before. It's good to know. And thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.